Happy birthday, Amelia Bedelia.
Happy birthday, Amelia Bedelia.
Well, Peggy Parish, my Aunt Peggy Parish, was my favorite aunt. I know you're not supposed to have favorite aunts and uncles, but she was clearly my favorite aunt. To have wound up in New York City, having grown up in Manning, South Carolina, which is about as far as you can get from New York City, she felt like she always wanted to do something creative when she was growing up, and she felt like New York City was the place to do it.
I met her when I first came to Harper in 1955, and she was the third grade teacher at the Dalton School. She came in and she had all sorts of terrible manuscripts about sweet little pussycats, talking pussycats as I remember. Nothing very interesting at all, and she was fascinating. So it was clear that there was something more to come.
So Amelia Bedelia went into the kitchen. She put a little of this and a pinch of that into a bowl. She mixed and she rolled. Soon her pie was ready to go into the oven. "There," said Amelia Bedelia. "That's done. Now let's see what this list says."
I wanted a double name, sorry. It had to be a double name. And every time I think of something, I write it down, and I knew that wasn't the name. And then just out of the blue, the name Amelia Bedelia popped into my head. I knew that was it. I didn't have to write that one down. I just put it in stone.
She thought it was about herself. She thought that she was Amelia Bedelia, and that was the way that she had heard the English language, and none of it seemed peculiar to her at all. And Peggy knew how funny she was, and Peggy knew how funny beginning readers would find the Amelia Bedelia-isms.
And she reads the list and she reads put the lights out, so she like screws out the light bulbs and puts them outside.
I know I laughed so hard when I read that because I said she's just confused, but she does what she's told, right?
Yeah, she does exactly.
Do you remember the name?
His favorite cake is a sponge cake. She'll actually make a sponge cake.
I know.
I think the most famous is of course, dressing the chicken.
And I think Dress the Chicken is hysterical.
When they said dress the chicken, she actually dressed it with clothes.
I wonder if she wants a he chicken or a she chicken.
You know, for me, the appeal of Amelia Bedelia is that she just takes the world at face value.
Fritz Siebel had illustrated Crosby Bonsel's book about libraries, and I think that was the first that we'd met him at Harper. And he was clearly funny and intelligent and offbeat and good, and seemed exactly the right person for Amelia Bedelia. I don't think we ever contemplated anybody else.
Because Fritz spoke 4 languages, he often was puzzled and not always with delight about the complications of each language for his own use. And so when Amelia, who also had the confusions and malapropisms, he felt very close to that. He felt he understood her character completely. He imagined her immediately. And it was just a few drawings. I think that you have the original little drawing of her face. And then, of course, came her body and her clothes, and it was a very easy process and a very happy one.
I can't remember why Fritz had to stop, but he did have to stop. She's evolved over the many, many years. Each of the artists brought their own take to her, but I didn't work on any of the Wallace Tripp books, so she'd already evolved and gotten younger. So we needed somebody who was willing to take somebody else's character and go with it, and that limited our choice somewhat. And Lynne was young and had done a couple of books and was interested in making a success out of a project.
Working with my father's original illustrations was daunting. It was extremely meaningful to pull them out of their packaging and see them in their original state. They were very delicate, a little bit already crumbling, and so I immediately covered them all with clear acetate. And my job was to give these black and white drawings full color. So I had to trace them and then add color. And when I worked on the original Amelia Bedelia, he was alive and he advised me, and I showed him all of the work I was doing as I was doing it.
Kids would write to my aunt, even though she had passed away. She had passed away in 1988 at the age of 61. And they would write to my aunt and say, "Miss Parish, I loved your last book. When is your next book coming out?" I went to Susan Hirschman and told her about the other authors who were trying to, wanting to write this, and she didn't think that was a good idea. And then I said, Susan, I was thinking of writing a story myself. And she looked at me and she said, "That might be interesting." She said, "You may be terrible at it, but I've never seen anything you've written. So I'm willing to look at that." Kids would say, "She acts so crazy." And I said, "Well, yeah, she just takes things literally." She goes, "Did she always act like that?" No, I thought, "Well, yeah, I mean, she didn't just get hit on the head one day and become literal. That's how she was, even when she was little." And we started thinking about that, and we thought, well, we know what she'd act like. What would she look like? And that's when Virginia Duncan found Lynne Avril to do this beautiful little girl who's the young Amelia Bedelia, and bring her to life on her first day of school. And then later, a little bit older, in chapter books. A little bit older so she can get into a lot more trouble.
Happy birthday, Amelia Bedelia.
My 50th birthday wish for Amelia Bedelia would be another 50 years and another 50 years after that, and 50 years as long as there are years to come.
Happy birthday, Amelia Bedelia. We all love you.
Happy birthday, Amelia Bedelia, and many more.
Happy birthday, Amelia Bedelia.
Amelia Bedelia marked off about the dreams. Now what? Put the lights out when you finish in the living room. Amelia Bedelia thought about this for a minute. She switched off the lights, then she carefully unscrewed each bulb. Happy birthday!